were so far gone, hardly recognized you. And now that you're gone, well, I see you all the time. And the memories flashing through my mind, you're flickering like the northern lights. I'd give anything to turn back time, begin again before my You were fine and I was freaking out, lost at night in an unfamiliar town. As the rain came pouring down, you held me tight on the floor of an old schoolhouse. I wish that had been enough. Didn't matter if we messed it up. Oh, we just laughed it off. We were young and dumb, we were young and in love. You were so far gone, hardly recognized you. And now that you're gone, well, I see you all the time. And the memories flashing through my mind, you're flickering like the northern lights. I'd give anything to turn back time, begin again before my
And we are live, everyone. I'm Jason of the Awake Souls channel, and we are live on the Limitless Channel. How are you doing, brother? Are you there, my brother? Oh, we got moved.
I am doing amazing. Thank you very much. Is everything working on everybody else's end?
We are floating in the air, but we're going to come back down.
Yeah, something felt odd there. I felt like a jolt. Something started playing on my end, which wasn't, which was very odd. But yeah, no, I'm really happy that everyone's here tonight. It's going to be a very calm night. We're going to get back into the Book of the Cave of Treasures. We probably won't finish it tonight, but we're going to get close. Tabernacles is finished. We're headed back to work. So back to the regular schedule for everybody. Will still be Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, most likely. And we'll let you know if we're not. Yeah, it was just a really peaceful day. I've really enjoyed having Benjamin and Brandon here. They've just great couple of young men. They're going to be wonderful members of the kingdom. They've got so much to offer, and it's just been such a bemoring, so much greater to have them around. Great guys. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also, very interested in, how this whole tonight we're supposed to have these Northern Lights. So that intro song was called Northern Lights. I put the link in the chat for anybody that wants the song. It's a beautiful Claire George track, but we're expecting to see some great Borealis tonight. So let's hope on that. I also want to give a huge shout out to my daughter, Sarah. I know she's been watching, and I just want to let you know that I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you again. So huge shout out to Sarah.
I think we need you to speak up a little bit, brother. Just coming across a little quiet.
I can turn the volume up a little bit too. Huge shout out to my daughter. I want to say it again for the third time. I love you, Sarah. Can't wait to have you here. So, brother, do we have everything in order now?
Yeah, so we just came out of the break with us floating in the air, and then when I transitioned, I had to wait through a stinger. But we are now back in the desk, and hopefully we can get a 5x5 from everyone that the sound is good. We are here Sunday evening. We're going to be going through scriptures. This is an interesting evening, everyone. We're on Halloween, so we spent the last hangout talking about the problems with Halloween. It's got pagan roots. Now, not just minor pagan roots, but severely pagan roots. And so people that have followed along will know that we have been paying attention to the predictive programming coming out of the New World Order agents. And so much of it was so heavily encoded that Halloween was going to be set up for a huge sacrifice day. And here we are at 8 o'clock Central Time on Halloween, and we haven't seen the type of cataclysm that we were seeing the predictive programming for. So we'll talk about what does this mean, where is our future hopes lying, and I don't know, is there still any chance that before the sun rises tomorrow, at least like in Jerusalem or New York City or something like that, are we going to see different headlines? So I continue to hold that hope that we're going to see big end times headlines, not for the cataclysm itself, but for the fact that means that once we get into the Great Tribulation, the sooner we get into it, the sooner we get out of it. And that is my hope. So there's that. There's the whole thing that PJ CNET brought up before the hangout. He mentioned daylight savings. And I just want to touch on this real quickly. That this morning when I woke up, I looked to first my phone, then I looked to my laptop to see what time it was, because in my heart I had an expectation that today was daylight savings time and that the clocks were going to be set an hour back. So I got up, I looked, I saw those two matching, and then I went with the expectation where my microwave isn't a cell phone or a computer, where it wouldn't have adjusted its time by itself, and I expected to see it an hour off. That was my expectation when I got up today. So I went and checked, there was no difference. Now, PJ CNET says that daylight savings has begun for them, and now I'm looking at our calendar, it's showing this for being next week. So I'm just curious within the chat, did anybody else have an expectation of today being daylight savings here in the United States, or am I the only one? Because I don't know, I guess I was probably influenced by seeing Steve Fletcher's material where he's saying it's going to be winter because of daylight savings, and so maybe they have daylight savings starting at different times for different countries throughout the world. But I would be curious what everybody else's expectations were, because mine were changed today, that now I'm looking to daylight savings next week. So is this part of the times changing? Is this a mandoozle? I just want to throw that out there. What about you, brother? What do you see?
Yeah, no, it's possible. I thought the time change was this weekend too, but we'll look into that more. I'm just seeing, the continuation of the ministry. The same thing is going to happen today, that tomorrow, that happened today, and the day after that. We might just do different things throughout the day, but we're going to continue to do the same things over and over again, and lifetime after lifetime. I'm prepared for infinite lives of doing this exact same thing until the number is achieved that we need to achieve. So yeah, I just want to keep everybody on a positive note. I know everything might be burning down around us, but we are still supposed to be having full faith and being joy and love and light to the rest of the world, even though everything seems so dark. And it's really easy to do because we know we'll be brought back again. We're here now. We'll always be brought back again, as long as we have the righteousness in our hearts. But no, I just think I'm excited to get into the book of the Cave of Treasures. We're now through the 5,000 years, I think, or was it 4,000 years? I don't really have much else to report on besides that we'll be headed back to work. So it'll be a little bit different of a schedule for people on other social media platforms, but it'll on YouTube. We'll try to get our 3 podcasts in a week. And that's it. I'm just thankful to be here tonight. I'm still low. Okay, well, we're about to fix that. We're going to move in close to the mic soon. But yeah, brother, thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone in the chat. And my heart goes out to everybody that's watching this in the future, too. I love you guys, too. We do time travel here. Time is not without our possibility of travel through. We do it all the time. So let's get into this, brother. What do you say?
We can do it. It'll take us off cam. We can kill our cameras now. Alright, so
we could get a sound check, but there's a good chance that my volume is probably now good. So we'll see what the 5x5 is in the chat. I don't think I need to adjust this any louder.
all right. So this is where we left off last time. We're in the genealogy of Mary. For those following along, this is the Book of the Cave of Treasures. We're on page 92 right now. Is there anything else you would like to say about these scriptures before we get into them, brother?
Absolutely not, but you should definitely go back and listen to the whole the whole entire book, because you'll miss out so much parabolic keys and the mysteries to the kingdom of heaven. They're all throughout this.
All right, so it says here, and from the 1,000 years of Cyrus until the passion of our Redeemer, the years were in number 500, according to the prophecy of Daniel, who prophesied and said, after 62 weeks the Messiah shall be slain. And these weeks make 500 years. It says, according to the book of Adam, Daniel said, after 7 weeks Christ shall come and shall be put to death. Now 7 weeks are 490 years, for a great week contains 70 years. But on that the prophet said, after 7 years he pointed to the remaining 10 of the 500 years. Daniel did not say Christ shall come at the end of the 7 weeks, but after 7 weeks, and he shall be put to death. Behold, from this time the month of the Jews is shut, for they have dared to say that the Messiah hath not yet come. They must perforce do one of the 2 things: either accept the prophecy of Daniel, or say, we do not accept it, for the prophecy hath fulfilled itself. And the weeks have passed, and the Messiah hath been slain, and the holy city hath been laid waste by Vespasian. The birth of Christ. Observe now, O thou lover of learning, our brother Nemesis, in the 42nd year of the kingdom of Augustus, Christ was born in Bethlehem of Judah, as it is written in the Holy Gospel. The star and the Magi. Now it was 2 years before Christ was born that the star appeared to the Magi. They saw the star in the firmament of heaven, and the brilliancy of its appearance was brighter than that of every other star. And within it was a maiden carrying a child, and a crown was set upon his head. Now it was the custom of the ancient kings and the Magi of the Chaldeans to consult the signs of the zodiac about the affairs of their lives. And when the Magi saw the star, they were perturbed and terrified and afraid, and the whole land of Persia was disturbed. And the kings and the Magi and the Chaldeans and the wise men of Persia were stupefied, and they were exceedingly afraid of the portent which they saw. And they said, Peradventure, the king of the Greeks hath determined to wage war against the land of Nimrod. And the Magi and the Chaldeans were terrified, and they consulted their books of wisdom, and through the might of the wisdom of their books they understood and learned, and stood upon the strength of the truth. Now in truth the Magi of the Chaldeans discovered that by means of the motions of the stars, to which they had given the names of signs of the zodiac, they were able to know and understand the strength or importance of events before they took place. And this same knowledge is also given to those who go down into the sea, and by the motions of the stars they know beforehand when there is going to be a disturbance of the winds, and when a violent storm is going to rise up against them, and whether they are about to be threatened with danger from winds and waves. Thus also was it with the Magi. When they saw and read in revelations of Nimrod, they discovered therein that a king was born in Judah, and the whole path of the dispensation of Christ was revealed unto them. Let's read this here. As touching the nature of that star, whether it was a star in nature or in appearance only, it is right to know that it was not of the other stars, but a secret power which appeared like a star for all the other stars that are in the firmament. And the sun and moon performed their course from east to west. This one, however, made its course from north to south. From Palestine lies thus over against Persia. This star was not seen by them at night only, but also during the day and at noon. And it was seen at that time when the sun is particularly strong, because it was not one of the stars. Now the moon is stronger in its light than all the stars, but it is immediately quenched and its light dissipated by the small ray of the sun. But the star overcame even the beams of the sun by the intensity of its light. Sometimes it appeared, and sometimes it was hidden entirely. It guided the Magi as far as Palestine. This was not an ordinary movement of the stars, but a rational power. Moreover, it had no fixed path. It did not remain always in the height of heaven, but sometimes it came down and sometimes it mounted up. Book of the Bee. The signs of the zodiac. Agru, Kaka, Ryukina, Tume, Alal, Kalbu, Shiru, Zibinatium, Akarub, Pilbaseg, Shurmash, Gula, Delgano. 1. The laborer or the goat. This is also Aries, the ram. Name month Nisanu, so Nisan. 2, no name here, modern equivalent to bull, Taurus, right? The faithful shepherd of heaven and the great twins, Gemini. The tortoise, the crab. The great dog, the lion. Alright, so this is Leo the lion. Virgin with an ear of corn. So that would be Virgo. And then the scales, we've seen that, Libra. The scorpion is the scorpion. Inerta is the bow. The goatfish, Copernicus. The great star, the water bearer. And the star in the band of fishes is Pisces. I'll read to this next highlight. On the first zodiac, which was set up by Tiamat, the evil one, see the Babylonian legends of the creation, London, 1921. And straightway, according to what they had received from the tradition which had been handed down to them by their fathers, they left the east and went up to the mountain of Noda, which lie inside the entrances to the east from the lands on the skirts of the north, and they took with them gold and myrrh and frankincense. And from this passage understand, O brothers, Nemesius, that the Magi knew the whole service of the dispensation of our Redeemer through the offerings which they brought. The gold was for a king, the myrrh for a physician, and the frankincense for a priest, for The Magi knew who he was, and that he was a king, and a physician, and a priest. Now when the son of the king of Sheba was a little boy, his father brought him to Rabbi, and he learned the book of the Hebrews better than all his companions and his fellow countrymen. And he said unto all his slaves, It is written in all the books of genealogies that the king shall be born in Bethlehem. You want to take over, brother?
Sure.
We're in the middle of page 95.
I know where we are. Great job reading, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Tell me when you're ready for the switch.
No?
Okay. You should probably have it correct.
Got it.
I'm ready. So it says here, the names of the Magi. These are they who bore offerings to the King of Kings and the sons of kings. Hormazala, king of Persia, who was called the King of Kings and dwelt in the lower Adgoran. Asgarad, Yazagrad, the king of Sabaha, and Perazdath, the king of Sheba, which is in the east. And it says, note in the book of Adam, the kings are called Hor, king of Persia, and the king of Saba, and the Kershwadians. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm going to skip this part. These names are a little bit beyond. The Magi in Jerusalem. And the Magi, having made ready to go up, the kingdom of the mighty men of the war was perturbed and terrified. And there was with them the Magi so mighty a following that all the cities of the east were in dismay before them, and Jerusalem also. And when they entered the presence of Herod, he trembled before them. And he commanded them, saying, Depart in peace, and seek diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, come show me, that I too may go and make obeisance unto him. Though deceit was hidden in Herod's heart, he offered homage with his mouth. And when the Magi went up to Jerusalem, there was a great commotion in Judea, because of the edict of Augustus Caesar, who commanded that every man should be registered in his country, and in the city of his fathers, because of this Herod was greatly perturbed. And he said unto the Magi, Go ye and search for him. Now the Magi are called the Magi because of the garb of Magianism, which in the heathen kings arrayed themselves, whoever they offered up a sacrifice and made offerings to their Elohims. They made use of the two different kinds of apparel, that which apparently to royalty Sorry, I was just having a sneeze attack here. Where was I? Heathen kings arrayed themselves, sacrifice unto Elohims, different kinds of apparel. And they wore inside that which appertained to magnesium on the outside. And thus also was it with those who went up and prepared to make offerings unto Christ. And they were arrayed in both kinds of apparel. And when the Magi had gone forth from Jerusalem, and from the presence of Herod, that same star which had been their guide on the road appeared again unto them, and they rejoiced greatly. And the star went on before them until they entered the cave, where they saw the young child swathed in bands and laid in a manger. Whilst they were on their way up thither, they saw within themselves, when they arrived, they thought that they would see a mighty and wonderful things, according to the law and customs which prevail among royal personages when a king is born. Thus did they think that they would find in the land of Israel a royal palace, and couches of gold and cushions laid upon them, and the king and the son of the king arrayed in purple, and awestruck soldiers and companies of royal troops, and nobles of the kingdom paying him honor and presenting gifts, and tables laid out with meats fit for a king, and vessels of drink standing in rows, and men servants and women servants serving in fear. Such were the things which the Magi expected to see, but they saw them not. Then they saw sights which were far better than these when they went into the cave. They saw Joseph sitting in astonishment, and Mary in a state of wonderment. But there was no couch with cushions laid upon it, and no table with food laid upon it, and no sign of the preparations which accompany a royal state. And although they saw all the humble estate and poverty, they had no doubt in their minds, but they drew nigh in fear and made obeisance. Why can I not say this word? Obeisance? Is that correct, Jason? Obeisance? obeisance to him in honor, and they offered unto him gold and myrrh and frankincense. And it was a very gracious gift to Mary and Joseph, and they had nothing to set before them, but the Magi fed themselves with the food that they had made their own providing. And it says here, in addition, one second. I'm just getting, it's been, for some reason, I was having allergies here. It says, in addition to gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which the Magi brought, they laid before the child an offering of some 30 pieces of silver. The weight was according to the weight of the sanctuary, but they were equal to 600 pieces according to the weight of the country. So they gave him money. 30 pieces were made by Terah, who gave them to Abraham, who gave them to Isaac. With them, Isaac bought a village, and the man who received them took them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh sent them to David as a contribution towards building of the temple, and Solomon placed them in the round door of the altar. Nebuchadnezzar carried them away to Babylon and gave them to a certain royal Persian hostage, who took them to Persia and gave them to their parents. When the Magi set out for Jerusalem, they took 30 pieces with their offerings out with them and bought from certain shepherds in Edessa the garment without seam, which an angel had given to them. The king of Edessa took 30 pieces and the garment from the shepherds and sent them to Christ. Christ kept that garment and sent the 30 pieces of Jewish treasury. The priests gave them to Judas Iscariot, betraying Yahawashi, but he repented and took them back to the priests. After Judas hung himself, the priests purchased the burial ground for strangers with the 30 pieces. Another legend says that Joseph had the 30 pieces and that with them he bought spices to embalm Jacob. That's interesting. They passed into the possession of the Queen of Sheba, who gave them to Solomon. Interesting. Now Christ was 8 days old when the Magi presented their offerings, and Mary received them at the very time when Joseph circumcised Christ. We'll continue on here. And the Magi lived with the child 3 days and saw the hosts of heaven going up and down to Christ. And they heard the sound of the praises of the angels who sung the hymns and cried out, Holy, 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 mighty Elohim, whose praises the heavens and the earth are filled with. And they were in great fear, and in truth they believed in Christ and said, This is the King who hath come down from heaven and become man. Now know that I that prophesy of Isaiah is true. For when I was in the school of the Hebrews, I read in the book of Isaiah, and found thereon it said, For unto us a child is born, and unto us a son hath been given, and his name shall be called Wonderful, and Counselor of Elohim, Giant of the worlds. And it is written in another place, Behold, a virgin is with child, and she shall bring forth a son, and his name shall be called Emmanuel, which is being interpreted as the Elohim is with us. And because he became like a man, and the angels were coming down from heaven to him, truly he is the Lord of the angels and men. And all of the Magi believed and said, Truly this is the King of Elohims. Kings are born unto us frequently, and mighty men, for the sons of mighty men, are born unto us on the earth. But it is unheard of this thing for the angels to come down to them. So I want to take a pause here, and I want everyone to understand, if you go back to the beginning of the Cave of Treasures, you will find out that Adam was the King of Kings. He was the healer, the priest, right? And the king. He was all three, and all the angels and everything created are subject unto Adam. I just want to make sure that people understand that. I'll read a bit more. Why is it doing this? And straightway they all rose up and did homage to him, and the Lord and King of the world. And having prepared food for their journey, they went down to their own country by a desert road. In the massacre of the innocents. I'll read to 100. Now, there are certain men who will dispute the statement and say, Where was Christ when the children were massacred? For it is written that he was not found in the land of Judah. It was because of this massacre that he fled to Egypt, so that it might be fulfilled which was written that said, From Egypt I called my son. And know this also, when Christ entered Egypt, all the idols therein were swept from their places, and fell down and were broken, so that there might not be filled
so that there might be fulfilled that which it is written, Behold, the Lord rideth on a swift cloud, and entereth Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be broken. Note, when Joseph and Mary and the child reached the gate of the city of Hermopolis, there was two buttresses of the gate, two figures of brass that had been made in the sages and the philosophers, and they spoke like men. When our Lord entered Egypt, these two figures cried out with a loud voice, A great king is come into Egypt. It's interesting, right? And he did not return from Egypt at once, but lived there until Herod died, and after him reigned Archelaus. Now, thou must know, O my brother Nemesis, that even as I already told thee, all the men who were under the rule of Herod were included in that registration for taxation. Again, this is bad news. And the registration was completed in 50 days. And it was not until this registration was completed and sealed, and until Herod had sealed it and sent it from Augustus in Rome, that the Messiah was searched for. Up to that time, no children had been slain. And it was during the commotion caused by the registration that Christ was born. When 40 days after his birth had been fulfilled, Christ went into the temple of the Lord, and Simeon, the aged, the son of Joshua bar Jozadak, in whose days the captivity went up from Babel, took him in his arms. Now Simeon was 500 years old when he took Christ into his arms. That's interesting that he was still alive. And straightway the angel said unto Joseph, Arise, take the young child and his mother, and flee to Egypt. And when the registration was completed, the Jews were dismissed, so that each man might depart to his own district and to his own village. Herod and John the Baptist. Then did Herod inquire for the Magi, and when he told them, They have gone back to their own country, he was exceedingly wroth. And he straightway slew all the young children in Bethlehem, and in all the villages round about. And when Herod had passed among the slain children, and they did not find there the body of John, the son of Zacharias, he said, Truly his son will reign over Israel, for he had heard of what had been said unto Zacharias by the angel, when he announced to him concerning the birth of John. And Herod sent to Zacharias and commanded to him to bring John and Zacharias. So you want to take over here?
I sure can.
Hopefully the allergies will calm down. Sorry, everybody.
It's tough. It is tough. I go through it too.
Yeah, I know you do. And I guess the sound's probably good too, right?
I think so. So, and Zacharias said, I am a priest, and I am minister in the temple of the Lord. I do not know where the child and his mother are. And because of these words, Zacharias was slain between the bench or steps in the altar. Now Elizabeth had taken John and gone forth into the desert. The death of Herod. And as for Herod, a divine punishment that was pitiless overtook him, and he fell ill of a sickness, through which he stank, and his body melted away into a mass of worms, and he suffered most grievous pains, and at length people were unable to come near him because of his putrid smell. And through that bitter suffering his soul departed into outer darkness. Nevertheless, by his death he destroyed many. And there's a note. First of all, he slew his wife and his daughter, and he killed one man of every family, saying, At the time of my death there shall be mourning and weeping and lamentation in the whole city. His bowels and his legs were swollen with running sores, and matter flowed from them, and he was consumed by worms. He had 9 wives and 13 children. There was a knife in his hand, and he was eating an apple, and by reason of the severity of his pain he drew the knife across his throat, and cut it with his own hand, and his belly burst open, and he died and went to perdition. An evil fate also overtook this person, the daughter of Herodias, who begged for the head of John the Baptist on a charger. Having given the saint's head to her mother, she went out to dance upon the ice, but the ice broke, and she sank into the water up to her neck, and no one could deliver her. At length men came with a sword which had been used in beheading John, and they cut off this person's head and gave it to her mother. The right hand with which Herodias took up John's head withered, and when she saw the heads of the saint and her daughter, she became blind. and Satan entered her and bound her with fetters. Now Herod had said unto Archelaus her son, and unto Shalom her sister, Immediately I am dead. Let those who I have fettered in prison be slain. Now he had imprisoned one person from every house, and he said, I know that the Jews will feel great joy at my death. But in order that they may not rejoice and be glad whilst ye are sorrowful and are weeping, let all those who I have shut up in prisons be slain, so that though their death they may cause lamentation unintentionally. And Archelaus and Shalom did as Herod commanded them, and when this order had been carried out in all Judea, there remained not one house in which there was not lamentation, even as it was in Egypt in the days of old. Christ returns to Galilee. And when Herod died, and his death had been announced to Joseph, he went back to Galilee. And when Christ was 30 years old, he was baptized by John. Now John was in the desert all the days of his life, and he lived upon the root which is called camas, which is wild honey. According to some, this root was like unto a carrot. And in the 12th year of the kingdom of Tiberius, Christ suffered. Chronological statement. Understand now and see, O my brother Nemesius, that the days of Herod in his 40th year, the first 1,000 years came to an end. In the 600th year of Noah, the second 1,000 years came to an end. In the 74th year of Reu, the third 1,000 years came to an end. In the 26th year of Ehud, the fourth 1,000 years came to an end. In the second year of Cyrus, the 5th 1,000 years came to an end, and the 500 years of the 6,000 years Christ was born in his human form. The crucifixion of Christ. And know thou also that Christ dwelt in Mary, and suffered in Nazareth, and was born in Bethlehem, and was laid in a manger, and was carried by Simeon in the temple of Solomon, and was reared in Galilee, and was anointed by Mary Magdalene, and ate the Passover in the house of Nicodemus, the brother of Joseph the Ramathah, and was bound in the house of Hanan, and was struck with a reed in the house of Cepheus, and embraced the pillar, and was scourged with a whip in the praetorium of Pilate. And on Friday, on the first day of Nisan, so, Passover, this is the 15th day of Nisan, is when he suffered. And at the first hour of Friday, it's not a Friday, Yahawashi fashioned Adam from the dust, and at the first hour of Friday, Christ received spittle from the sons of Adam. At the second hour of Friday, the wild beasts and the cattle and the feathered fowl gathered themselves together. To Adam, he gave names to them as they bowed their heads before him. And at the second hour on Friday, the Jews gathered themselves together against Christ, and they gnashed their teeth at him, even as the blessed David said, Many bulls have gathered together round about me, bulls of Bashan have beset me around. At the third hour on Friday, not a Friday, a crown of glory was placed on the head of Adam, and at the third hour of not a Friday, the crown of thorns was placed on the head of Christ. Go ahead.
Very interesting for people to understand what's being told here, right? I just want everyone on the other side of the screen to be really focused in on what Jason's reading. And later, go back and read this again. I put the link in the chat. Read this for yourself. It starts at page 100. Please do yourself a favor. Read this.
Hey, who's being talked about here?
Adam and Yahawashi.
Yes. So we're starting page 102 right now. 3 hours was Adam in paradise and shining with splendor, and 3 hours was Christ in the judgment hall, being beaten by creatures that had been fashioned out of dust. At the 6th hour, Eve went up to the tree of transgression of the commandment, and at the 6th hour, Christ ascended the cross, the tree of life. At the 6th hour, Eve gave unto Adam the fruit of the gall of death, and at the 6th hour, the crowd of iniquity gave unto Christ vinegar and gall.
So right there, hold on. Breaks. So if anybody knows that Yahawashi was on the torture stake. He was whipped, beaten, tortured, bleeding, and he was thirsty. And they offered him up vinegar and gall. And I believe gall might be like a type of a heroin. I'm not completely certain on that, but I have done the research on that. But here we have Eve. We have the word Eve put into the title. So this is something that I've been trying to point out to people, that, you know, Eve doesn't get brought up enough. And it looks like Yahawashi at this time here, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Got her forgiveness. He did this for her. It says, at the 6th hour, he gave unto Adam the fruit of the gall of death. Right? So you can see here that Yahawashi did this for Eve too. Not, you know, all mankind. I want everyone to look specifically at the words that we're reading. They're very important.
And it continues, for 3 hours Adam remained under the tree naked, and for 3 hours was Christ naked on the wood of the cross. And from the right side of Adam went forth Eve, the mother of mortal offspring, and from the right side of Christ went forth baptism, the mother of immortal offspring. On Not Friday, Adam and Eve sinned, and on Not Friday their sin was remitted. On Not Friday, Adam and Eve died, and on Not Friday they came alive. On Not Friday, death reigned over them, and on Not Friday they were freed from this dominion. All these Fridays you can toss out.
It's the 15th day of the month. On the 15th day of the month. On the 15th day of the month. On the 15th day of the month.
Adam and Eve went forth from paradise, and on the 15th our Lord went into the grave. Adam and Eve became naked. On the 15th day, Christ stripped himself naked and clothed them. On the 15th day, Adam and Eve naked, and on Friday Christ stripped naked Satan and all his hosts and put them to shame openly. And on the 15th the door of paradise was shut, and Adam went forth, and on the 15th it was open, and a robber went in.
Oh, hold on one second. And on the 15th day the door of paradise was shut, and Adam went forth, and on the 15th day it was opened, and the robbers went in. That's quite an interesting scripture.
And on the 15th a two-edged sword was given to the cherub, and on the 15th Christ smote with a spear and brake the two-edged sword. On the 15th kingdom and priesthood and prophecy were given unto Adam, and on the 15th priesthood and the kingdom and prophecy were taken from the Jews. At the 9th hour Adam went down into the lowest depth of the earth from the height of paradise, and at the 9th hour Christ went down to the lowest depths of the earth, to those who lay in the dust from the height of the cross. Know also that Christ was like unto Adam in everything, even as it is written. That's an important statement right there. Right? Don't forget that one. In that very place where Melchizedek ministered as a priest, and where Abraham offered up his son Isaac as an offering, the wood of the cross was set up, and that self-same place is the center of the earth, and there the four quarters of the earth met each other. For when Yahweh made the earth, his mighty power was running before it, and the earth was running after it, and the power of Yahweh stood still, and became motionless in Golgotha. And that same place formeth the boundary of the earth. When Shem took up the body of Adam, that same place, which is the door of the earth, opened itself. And when Shem and Melchizedek had deposited the body of Adam in the center of the earth, the four quarters of the earth closed in about it and embraced Adam. And straightway that opening was closed firmly, and all the children of Adam were not able to open it. And when the cross of the Christ, the Redeemer of Adam and his sons, was set up upon it, the door of that place was opened in the face of Adam. And when the wood was fixed upon it, the Christ was smitten with that spear, and blood and water flowed down his side. They ran down into the mouth of Adam, and they became a baptism to him, and he was baptized. Now when the Jews crucified Christ on the wood, they divided his garments among them beneath the cross, even as it is written, His tunic was of purple, which is the raiment of royalty. When they stripped him of the raiment of royalty, Pilate would not permit the Jews to array him in ordinary apparel, but only in the actual raiment of royalty, either purple or scarlet. By both of these, it might be known that he was a king. For it is impossible for any other man to wear purple. Only a king can do this. And one of the evangelists has said, the soldiers put on him a purple robe. And this is a true word, and is highly credible. And another evangelist uses the word scarlet, and he proclaimed what was true. The scarlet garment indicateth to us blood, and the purple garment water. For the scarlet was like unto blood, and the purple was one like unto water. The scarlet garment proclaimeth the joyful and immortal nature of man, and the purple one the sad and mortal nature of man. Understand therefore, O brother. Now the spies said prophetically to Rahab the harlot, Thou shalt tie a thread of scarlet to the window. When they descended, having been well entreated by her, and through her they prefigured a certain matter, for the window symbolized the side of our Lord Christ, and the thread of scarlet his precious blood which produced life. And they, the Jews, wove a crown of spikes of thorn bushes and set it upon his head, and they arrayed him in royal apparel, not knowing what they were doing. And they bowed the knee and made obeisance unto him, and they spoke with their mouths. You want to take over after this paragraph, brother? Without being compelled to do so, saying, Hail to thee, kings of the Jews, observe ye, O my brethren, that not even in his death he did lack the sign of royalty. And when the Jews and the soldiers who were the servants of Herod and Pilate were struggling together to rend the tunic of Christ, divide it among them, they did so because they all eagerly desired the beauty of the sight thereof. And the centurion also watched the cross himself, testified before all the crowd, saying, Verily, this man is the son of Yahawashi. And this centurion said unto them, The orders which have been given to me do not permit me to rend the apparel of royalty, but cast lots for it, and we shall see to whom it will come. And when the Jews and the soldiers of the king had cast lots, the lot fell upon one of the soldiers of Pilate. Now the tunic of our Lord had no seam, but had been woven whole in one piece. And whosoever there was a lack of rain in the place where it had been deposited and taken care of, the people used it to bring out the tunic. And as soon as they lifted it up towards heaven, an abundance of rain fell. And also whosoever the soldier who had received it lacked rain for his crop, he brought it out the tunic, and it worked this miracle. Now the tunic was taken away by force from the man who got it by Pilate, who sent it to the Emperor Tiberius. To us, this tunic indicates the Orthodox faith which all the nations joined together are unable to cleave.
That right there was probably the last few pages you just read are the most important ones in the whole book. I know where we are.
Yeah.
I've been following along. Or you want to continue?
No, I'm ready to turn it over, brother.
Yeah, you said one more paragraph. I didn't know if you meant page.
No. These
let me know when
3 valuable gifts. Middle of page 104.
I know where we are.
Okay.
I followed along with every single word. You have to stop the screen share. Thank you. And tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
And it says 3 valuable gifts than which there is nothing more valuable were given to the Jews in olden time, namely royalty, priesthood, and prophecy. Prophecy by the hand of Moses, priesthood by the hand of Aaron, and royalty by the hand of David. These 3 gifts, which the generations and families of the children of Israel had enjoyed for many years, were taken from them in one day, and they were stripped of all 3 of them and became aliens to them. That is to say, prophecy by the cross, priesthood by the rendering of the tunic, and royalty by the crown of thorns. Moreover, that the spirit of compassion, the propitiation, which had dwelt in the temple, in the Holy of Holies, forsook them and departed. And the curtain or veil of the sanctuary was cleft in twain. That means ripped in half. And the Passover fled from them, for they never celebrated another Passover in it. And know, O my brethren, that when Pilate pressed them to go into the judgment hall, they said unto him, We are unable to go into the praetorium, because up to now we have not eaten the Passover. And when the sentence of death had been passed over our Lord by Pilate, they, the Jews, made haste and went into the sanctuary, and brought out from thence, carrying the poles of the ark of the covenant. And out of them they made the cross of Christ. Verily, it was meet that these pieces of wood, which used to carry the covenant, should also carry Yahawashi, the covenant. The cross of Christ was formed of the two pieces of wood, which were the same height and depth and length and breadth. And Paul the apostle labored exceedingly that the Gentiles might know what this was meant by this cross, which embraced the height and the depth and the length and the breadth of the earth. And then they raised up Christ, the lamp of the light of the earth, and set him upon the candlestick of the cross. The light of the sun became dark, and it was extinguished. And a covering of darkness was spread over the whole earth. And the nails were driven into the body of our Redeemer, 2 through his hands and 1 through his feet. And there were 2 thieves with him, one on his right hand and one on his left. And they handed unto him the vinegar and gall in a sponge. And by the vinegar which they gave unto him, it was made known concerning them that there was the charge or changed in what had been formerly known, and that they had turned themselves from integrity to wickedness. And by the gall was made known all the bitterness of the accursed serpent which was in them. And it showed they that all these that had belonged to that good vineyard, from which prophets, kings, and priests, and they themselves had drunk, but because they had become wicked, who would not labor in the vineyard of his beloved, they produced husks instead of grapes. And the wine which they pressed out, therefore, was sour. And having crucified their heir on the wood, they mixed some of the impurity of their wickedness with their sour wine, and gave it to him to drink of the wine of the vineyard of the Gentiles. But he would not drink, saying, Give me that vine which my father hath brought out of Egypt. For Christ knew the prophecy of Moses, which had been prophesied concerning them, and had been fulfilled in them. For Moses said, Your grapes are grapes of gall, and your clusters are bitter. Your poison is the poison of a serpent, and their head is that of a malignant viper. These are the things which ye render unto Yahweh. And observe, O my brother Nemesis, that the blessed Moses, with the eye of the Spirit, foresaw the things which they were going to do to Christ, and said, These are the things which ye render unto Yahweh. The congregations of the crucifiers was a decayed vine. Its daughters were bitter grapes, and its sons were clusters of gall, and their head was Caiaphas, the malignant viper. And they were all an evil serpent, and all of them were filled with the venom of Hasatan, who is the evil serpent. Instead of the water of the rock, which had been given to them to drink in the wilderness, they gave him vinegar and gall to drink. And instead of manna that rained down from the heavens, the gall of the quail, they did not give him a cup to drink from, but a sponge, so that they might show that the blessing of their fathers had been swept away from them. Now it is evident that from what follows, when a vessel is empty and there is no wine in it, they wash and wipe it with a sponge. Even so did the Jews do when they crucified Yahawashi. For with a sponge they wiped away and removed themselves from royalty and priesthood and prophecy and the religion of Christ, and gave to them Christ and the vessels of their bloody bodies, which washed the empty and remained left only. And the law of the prophets having been fulfilled, and Adam having been sent and seen the fountain of living water, which was poured out from above for his redemption, then was Christ smitten with a spear, and the blood of the water flowed down from his side, and they were not mingled with one another. For what reason did the blood come forth before the water? For 2 reasons. First, that through the blood through the life of the blood might be given unto Adam, and then after the life and the resurrection, the water for his baptism. Secondly, that through the blood he might show that he was immortal, and through the water he might show that he was mortal, and a bearer of sufferings. And the blood and the water ran down into the mouth of Adam, and Adam was redeemed. And he put on the garment of glory, and Christ wrote the edict of his return with the blood of his own person, and dispatched it by the thief. And when an end had been made of everything, the written of the reputation of the congregation was said, and the congregation became a thing that cast it aside, and it was stripped of its glorious remnant. And even in the times of old, David had through his Holy Spirit said and prophesied, saying, even unto the thorns of the altar, to this pass the festivals of the Jews brought, and unto the horns of the altar means to the crucifixion of the Christ. The genealogies of Christ, from Adam to Seth, from Seth to Enos, from Enos to Canaan, from Canaan to Mahalalel, from Mahalalel to Jared, from Jared to Enoch, from Enoch to Methuselah, from Methuselah to Lamech, from Lamech to Noah, from Noah to Shem, from Shem to Ariphaxad, from Ariphaxad to Salah, from Salah, Eber, from Eber, Peleg, from Peleg, Reu, from Reu, Serug, from Serug, Nahor, from Nahor, Terah, Terah to Abraham, Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob, Jacob to Judah, Judah, Perez, Perez, Heshron, Heshron, Aram, Aram, Aminadab, Aminadab, Nashashon, Nashashon to Solomon, Solomon to Boaz, Boaz to Obed, Obed to Jesse, Jesse to David, David to Solomon, Solomon to Rehoboam, Rehoboam to Abijah, Abijah to Ara, Era to Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat to Joram, Joram to Azaziah, Azaziah to Joash, from Joash to Amaziah, Amaziah to Uzziah, Uzziah to Joatham, Joatham to Aziah, to Aj to Hezekiah, Hezekiah to Manasseh, Manasseh to Ammonon, Ammonon to Josiah, Josiah to Jehoiadash, Jehoiadash to Jehoiakim, from Jehoiakim to Jehoiachin, from Jehoiachin to Salathiel, from Salathiel to Zerubbabel, from Zerubbabel to Abud, Abud to Alikam, from Alikam, is that another one repeating? To Azar, from Azar to Zadok, from Zadok to Achin, from Achin to Elud, from Elud to Eleazar, from Eleazar to Mathan, from Mathan to Jacob, from Yochanar to Mary, from Mary to the manger, and to the manger to the circumcision, from the circumcision to the temple, and from the temple of Egypt, from Egypt to Galilee, from Galilee to Jerusalem, from Jerusalem to Jordan, from Jordan to the desert to Judah, from Judah to the preaching, from the preaching to the upper chamber, from the upper chamber to the Passover, and from the Passover to the judgment hall, from the judgment hall to the cross, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the upper chamber, from the upper chamber to heaven, from heaven to the throne he sitteth at the right hand of the Father. So I think that might be good for us to end here.
Yeah, it's quite a chronology right there, huh? It doesn't even go through all the people. It goes through the people all the way to the position in heaven.
Yes, that was a good chronology.
That's a good chronology.
Yeah, tell me when you're ready for me to stop the screen share.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, hold on.
Read these.
All right, go now, because I don't think you had a mic when I switched.
Yeah, just make sure that you guys read these scriptures. Start at page 100. I'll put the link to the book in the comment section. You need to read this for yourself. The mysteries to the kingdom of heaven are absolutely being given back to us, right? And if you want to be a Berean, if you want to be a part of the kingdom, it might be a good idea for you guys to understand what is being taught here. Now, it's not Jason or I. We're reading these things. And I got to tell you guys, I went through these things like a lion looking to just devour the truth. And I have found this truth out a long time ago, and it's now up to you guys to go out and do your own search. And the Heavenly Father is going to show you everything, because it was promised. As it is written, that the breath of the living Father would come to us in the end times, and it would teach us everything that we forgot. And we've been going through this together for over close to, I don't know if today or the next week, we're now entering into the 7th day of creation. We're right there, everybody. We've been doing this over and over again together. And I'm going to continue to say that over and over again. It's just the mysteries need to be known, and they unlock different things, right? So for us to move forward in the tribulation, these things had to be unlocked. They had to be known and taught again. This is the way that the supernatural takes place. So if you guys want to be a part of it, I strongly suggest you do your own reading. Like, don't just listen to us, just open the book up and read it. And we are always here. We will always get back to you guys. If you have us on Facebook, if you have us on Zoom, if you email us, right? awakeeple@gmail.com. That's me, awakeeple@gmail.com, and Jason's awakesouls@gmail.com. If you have any questions about any of these books, please email us. Get a hold of us on Facebook, at least me. Get a hold of Jason on Zoom, right? Your Zoom account, if you want to add Jason, that's Jason Laufenberg, JASON LAUFENBERG That's his ad on Zoom. Get a hold of us, talk to us, ask us questions if you can't understand anything. And if the Heavenly Father shows you the mysteries to the kingdom of heaven, share it with the world. You've been graced with an abundance of power. If you just understood that the scriptures of the script that we're in, they are the keys. They are the keys. And it's all here for us. So that's my rant.
Well, and a good one. So these scriptures are key. They're critical. We're not going to deny any scriptures. You can see as we go through this that it ties in. It doesn't contradict the scriptures. It just adds more detail. It's got more stuff that we don't have in just 66 books. So we love going through this, getting a better, more refined picture of what was taking place. We've gone through so many before. We'll continue to go through them until Yahawashi's return. The plan would be for us to be live this Wednesday. We're still hoping for Great Tribulation kickoff type stuff. Tomorrow wouldn't be too soon. So we'll be in touch.
When's the best time for the tribulation to kick off, brother?
30 years ago.
30 years ago. Hang on. Get a bell ring just to bring the bell back. I would just want to say that thank you for holding it together, brother. You did a great job reading tonight. I dropped the ball a bit, but everybody needs to know that these scriptures are, if you read them yourself, you'll find out, like, I had to do a lot of changes on the fly because the transliterations, they lack in some of the words, but you can completely still get the picture. And that's what the amazing thing is with these books. You can, if you just open your eyes and read them, they just come alive, right? Mm-hmm. We're in a supernatural realm, and the more you search, the more the creator of this place searches you. He gives to you what you need, right? You just have to work for it. Nothing's free. Listen, if anything in this world is just handed over, it's not worth anything. Everything, and we've been going through these scriptures, this entire thing that we're reading here is about the redemption of mankind, right? It's a lesson, and it's absolutely about works. The new age Christian doctrine that tells you that you're just saved by grace is an absolute lie from the pit of hell, because everything that was given in this realm was earned. It was earned, right? And I really want people to know that just simply repenting of your ways, loving other people, we were creator beings. We were created to be creator beings. Create things, make videos, film things, write blogs, do whatever the gift you have is. If your gift is just to hit a thumbs up and leave a comment, you do it. Create. Don't hold back. This is your chance to get timestamps. Anything that's discovered, you get to have your name on the banners that are going to be flown throughout the kingdom. It's up to you guys. Jason and I, we don't need to do everything. We want you guys to do stuff too. We've always wanted that. We want a team. We want to do this as a group. We're never going to stop. We just want you guys to get involved however you can. If you need any advice or you need any help, Jason and I are always available. We will be working, but we still get back to people all the time. I guess that's it for my rant, brother. I don't think we prepared an exit song, right?
Well, I do have the midnight from a little while ago. We could end it like that.
Do you want me to say the tagline or do you want to say it?
Well, you say it, brother.
Where did we hear this? Only on the Yahawashi News Network.
stop